Okay, we are going to talk about a new bill. It's House Bill number 220, and this bill is replacing House Bill 17, which is a bill that we have previously analyzed. It is an abortion funding prohibition. So let's go ahead and look at the short title. So I'm at legislature.idaho.gov. Now, the reason this analysis is really important is that this bill is starting out in the House of Representatives in the state of Idaho. It's starting in the State Affairs Committee, and it will probably get a hearing this week. This is going to be the week of February 21st, this being a Sunday. So sometime this week, this bill is probably going to get a hearing. You have the ability to testify remotely. And the way that you testify remotely is you're going to go to legislature.idaho.gov. And when you're at the legislature's website, then you'll click on legislative sessions, and then there will be basically House calendars and agendas. We're going to send this out as part of our newsletter. So if you go to our email, sign up for our email at abolishabortionid.com. We have a sign up there. So you go to calendars and agendas, and in the House, what you're going to look for is state affairs. So you'll go to the House committee agendas right here. You'll go to state affairs right there. You'll click on it. The agenda will come up. And if you can't make it to Boise and you want to testify remotely, so this, for example, is the agenda for Monday, February 22nd. And you'll see these are the bills that are being heard and debated and voted on Monday, February 22nd. So on the day that House Bill 220, which is abortion funding prohibition, is heard, sometime this week, we will tell you in our email when it's going to be heard. We'll tell you on our Facebook page when it's going to be heard, or you can check these agendas yourself. And right here it says register to testify. So on the legislature's website, you can register to testify. You do need to register to testify before the committee hearing. The committee hearings generally start at 9 o'clock a.m., and that is Mountain Standard Time, and you can testify by Zoom remotely. So there really is no excuse that we can't all participate in the legislative process this year. We don't all have to get ourselves to Boise. You'll get 2 minutes is all you get. So you're going to have to focus on some aspect of this bill that you disagree with and tell this House Committee, State Affairs, why you disagree with House Bill 220. Let's go through the bill. This is it. It's House Bill 220. Now, the bill, this is page 1, is known as the No Public Funds for Abortion Act. So that's right here. Okay, so the first thing that it does, they changed it from H17, and they go straight into the definitions here on page 1. Page 2, we continue with definitions. Then we get to the first section that's being added to Idaho Code. Idaho Code is Idaho law. It is the statutes in Idaho. Now, the reason that this bill was created is because the sponsors looked at the Boise Mayor McLean. She had a committee before she came into office as Boise Mayor that consisted of 18 members, and these are some of the priorities they developed as community priorities for the city of Boise. And in that report, which you can find online, I'm at it right now, it's at cityofboise.org, and it's called the Transition Report, Equitable City Final. So it's right on the City of Boise's website. And I'm on page 12 here, and you'll note that on page 12, right here in Thriving Health, Education, and Economics, they say they want to provide free contraception as defined by the CDC, abortion, and reproductive health care. So apparently in the city of Boise, Mayor McLean's committee decided it'd be a great idea for the city of Boise to provide free abortions for anybody, I guess. Anyway, so the bill sponsors of H220 said, well, that's a ridiculous idea. And they want to write into state code a preclusion from that ever happening, which is fine. I mean, we should be abolishing abortion. We should be defying the federal judicial tyrant, the Supreme Court, that it said is okay to kill children. You know, we have that lawful right to do that. The federal government does not say in its Constitution that we owe an obligation to the Supreme Court of the United States. Article 6, Section 2 says that the supreme law of the land is the Constitution of the United States and all laws made in pursuance thereof, not wrong Supreme Court opinions. And also in Section 1, Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution, the federal government does not have any enumerated authority over criminal murder in the states. That is a power possessed by the states. So the federal government can't tell us what we can do about outlawing murder in the state. So we have that ability in the state of Idaho, but let's deal with the bill here. So our legislature at this moment is not ready to abolish abortion, so we're going to deal with the pro-life abortion regulations that they're putting forward, and this is the one: government contracts with abortion providers or their affiliates prohibited. So it says the state, a county, a city, so that would include Boise, public health district, public school district, or any local political subdivision thereof may not enter into any contract or commercial transaction with an abortion provider or an affiliate of an abortion provider. But then it has some exceptions. So right there I'd say, fine. But then the problem is the exceptions. It always is. The problem is always the exceptions. So we have line 28 through 31. It says that this prohibition that's right here shall not apply, means it absolutely will not apply to a contract or commercial transaction that is subject to a federal law related to Medicaid. Now, let me explain Medicaid for a moment. If you go to transparent.idaho.gov, this is a website that was created by Brandon Wolf. He's the Idaho State Controller. It's actually a really good website. It shows you where all the money goes. And you can actually click here and you can look at vendor payments and you can search them and you can type in Planned Parenthood. And it'll give you this list of how much money we pay to Planned Parenthood right now, which is one of the state's abortion providers. There's actually one other one that we know of. It's Darren L. Wyrich, MD, in Boise, Idaho. Anyway, and what it tells you right here, this is just Planned Parenthood of Boise at the moment. But if you look at all of Planned Parenthood, we actually paid them a total of $312,000, $312,023.48 last year. And we did that, so I'm going to clear this and you can see the total. We did that for Medicaid services predominantly. So that is the Federal Medicaid Act. It's passed by the Congress. And then, so here's your total right here. So if you look at the total here, it says $312,023.48. And that's how much we paid to Planned Parenthood. We had paid an additional $78,000 to Darren L. Wyrich, so we paid $390,000 to two abortion providers last year. The state of Idaho did, through its controller, of mostly federal Medicaid money. So when you go back to House Bill 220, we're not going to touch that. That's what this exception here says, that we are going to continue to make the taxpayer payments that we are presently making to the abortion providers in the state for Medicaid. This is called federal supremacy. It is not constitutional. We shouldn't do that, but they're going to go ahead and follow that in this bill. They're going to accept it in the bill. I would oppose the bill for this reason right here. We should not make exceptions. Last year, when there was a similar bill in the state of Idaho, the Idaho Attorney General issued an opinion that said in order to be constitutional, you have to have this exception. So we have his opinion from last year up on our website. So see, there it is from Lawrence Wasden last year, January 30th, where he said you had to have these exceptions for Medicaid. And yes, there is a Supreme Court opinion in the Ninth Circuit, which is the appeals circuit that covers Idaho, that says that Medicaid funds have to continue because there's what's called a free choice of provider provision, which was the 1967 amendment to the Medicaid law. I would say that we should defy the Congress because we should not be passing through federal Medicaid dollars to child killers. That's one reason to oppose this bill. Then, on line 31, we have another exception that says that hospitals, as defined in Section 391301, you can, as the state or a city like Boise, a city, you can enter into a contract or commercial transaction with an abortion provider that is a hospital. You see that? Well, why? Why do we either we're going to ban contracts with abortion providers altogether, or we have these exceptions, and why do the hospitals get an exception? It's either a constitutional question about a right to life or it's not. Well, let me tell you why. There are 52 hospitals in the state of Idaho. And this is the list right here. You can actually go online to the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare hospital provider list by state region. And right here is the hospital list. And it basically shows you there are these 52 hospitals. So basically, if you go to Boise, you've got Intermountain Hospital. You have St. Luke's Regional Medical Center, St. Alphonsus, Treasure Valley Hospital, and Vibra Hospital of Boise. See all these Boise addresses? Well, you have a total of 52 hospitals. And last year, the Hospital Association, it's a group that lobbies at the Capitol. See, politics is run by professional lobbyists, frankly, and the governor's office, frankly, and the state agencies and boards and commissions. And they have their interests. And the Hospital Association, apparently last year, when there was another bill to defund abortion, they came out in opposition, and they managed to kill the bill over in the Senate. So in order to avoid that fight this year, they've decided just to let the hospitals go ahead and kill children with your taxpayer money. So that's right here on line 31 of page 2 of this bill. They can enter into contracts with the abortion providers if those abortion providers are hospitals. Well, how is that constitutional? If there's an unalienable right to life in the Idaho Constitution for all human beings, including the preborn, and there are men in Idaho State Prison serving a life sentence for killing preborn children, why are hospitals allowed to contract with cities and counties in the state to kill children? How come they can get away with murder and get your taxpayer money to do it? Now let's go to contracts for abortion procedures prohibited. So it says no healthcare facility owned or operated by the state. These would be like our public health districts actually run clinics. That would be a healthcare facility owned by the state. And there may be county and city health clinics and public health districts. That's the one I was talking about. There are also health clinics owned by the prisons. These are ones that we know about. There's one near Orofino that's a state hospital. I think it's for mental health primarily. Anyway, it says here that they or any political subdivision shall enter into any contract. So they cannot enter into any contract or commercial transaction with any healthcare provider under the terms of which, in other words, in that contract, where that other healthcare facility agrees to provide, perform, or induce an abortion, except if the contract or commercial transaction is subject to a federal law related to Medicaid, or if the contract is with a hospital, one of these 52 hospitals again, then you can enter into these contracts to kill children. Let's get to page 3. No public funds, these would be your taxpayer monies, made available by the state, county, city, public health district, public school district, or any local political subdivision, any part of government in the state of Idaho. That includes boards, commissions, and everything. None of those can be used, so shall be used, so they may not be used, to perform or induce an abortion, assist in the provision or performance of an abortion. It says no person, agency, organization, or any other party that receives funds authorized by the state, county, city, public health district can use those funds to perform or promote abortion, provide counseling in favor of abortion, make a referral for abortion, or provide facilities for abortion, or training to provide or perform an abortion. And no fund or committee is authorized by Idaho Code for the Special Protection of Women or Children may receive those monies as well. Okay, well, that's good. So the provisions, though, of this shall not apply if, again, hospitals or federal Medicaid. We also have these exceptions for the life of the mother. I'm not going to take that on in this because it's the way they define abortion here. We're not going to touch that one at the moment. But the point is, a hospital, again, is accepted and can receive these monies, and federal Medicaid is still exempted. We oppose the bill for page 3, line 26 and 27, same thing. Now check this out. This part of the section here, 188706, we have no objection to that section. 188707. No facility operated at a public institution of higher education or operated by a public school district shall provide any of the following services to any person: providing or performing an abortion, counseling in favor of abortion. So this basically says universities, colleges that are public, and public school districts, which include K through 12, can provide or perform an abortion, counsel in favor of abortion, refer for abortion. That's great. That is great. We should outlaw abortion altogether, but this is okay. Oh, and then it says, and they also can't dispense a drug classified as emergency contraception by the Food and Drug Administration. That drug is known as levonorgestrel. That's the actual drug. And if you read the manufacturer insert for the drug, it can prevent an egg from being fertilized by sperm, but it can also prevent a fertilized egg from implanting on the uterine wall, and thus the pregnancy proceeds. The minute the sperm fuses with the egg, you have a new human being. And so it can cause abortion. That's according to their literature. Some of the brand names for this are Plan B, and there's several Walmart brands, believe it or not. But then they have this exception, except in the case of rape as defined in section 1860-101 Idaho Code. So if a girl claims that she was raped, then these public schools can give her this abortion pill. Why? Why, if you're conceived and raped, do all of a sudden you not have an unalienable right to life? And why, if you're conceived and raped, are you being discriminated against and now you can be killed by a drug dispensed by public schools? Why? And then if you go to page 4, we say that the State Department, and we have this rape exception here on page 4, lines 3 and 4, and then we also say the State Department of Education, State Board of Education, or other state agencies and local units of administration are prohibited from using state funds to provide or procure an abortion or distribute drugs classified as emergency contraception by the FDA. That's levonorgestrel again. And then look at the exception. Except in the case of rape, as defined in section 1860-101 Idaho Code. So basically, the State Department of Education, State Board of Education, and other state agencies may provide or procure an abortion, kill a child, if the baby was conceived in rape. Anyway, we think that's insane. We oppose this bill because of that. We think that this code would be fine to include in Idaho Code without the exceptions. And so if they would just do it without the exceptions, we wouldn't oppose the bill, but we do oppose it. So sign up and testify this week. Go down to Boise, go to the State Affairs Committee agenda and register to testify. You'll have 2 minutes. Speak to one of these objections. Go to legislature.idaho.gov. Make sure you speak to the bill. The chairman will require that you speak specifically to the bill. Don't get off topic. You can mention the Bible, God's law, and things like that, but you have to speak to the bill. Tell them why. Tell them from your heart why this is wrong. You want to stop pro-life abortion regulations that contain, yes, believe it or not, this is evil, okay? It's immoral. It's immoral. And we should stop passing legislation that is immoral and unconstitutional. Thanks for listening. Hope to see you in Boise this week. Bye.